He's an award-winning artist, creative director. Sunscape Dubai is a festival that supports artists and creation and collaboration between artists. Seth, welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And it's so lovely to be here. The space is amazing. As always, it's such a pleasure to be in my pavilion because it has this energy of feeling like home. But obviously, you've done so much to populate it with art and art that's meaningful.
The artistic and spiritual journey took you around the world to discover and revel the mystery of Shipibo Peruvian pattern and the Tibetan sand mandala. How this impacted your artistic practice?
It really started because I enrolled in a Southeast Asian art history class in university. My eyes just really opened up because up until that point we were studying a lot of the movements from the Western world, Cubism, Impressionism, everything coming out of Europe and also America. And I realized there's a whole world out there producing art that has been producing art for all these years and that we just ignore. So for me, it was really digging into this and realizing the traditions that all these art practices have come from. One, for example, is Indonesian batik. This is a tradition that spans thousands of centuries, which has changed because of different civilizations, religions. And I was inspired to go out into the world, to Indonesia, and actually visit the factories where they make it nowadays, see how they're making it, how modernization has changed things. So the world is changing and so are these very age-old traditions. The important thing for me was how do we continue to keep that message alive? And the message is what the universe is about, what Prana is about, energy, and trying to keep that core concept alive in my work.
In response to the 9/11 tragedy, Dalai Lama called Buddhist monks from all around the world to create this mandala to clear and healing the human trauma. Do you think those spiritual artistic practices can heal the current collective trauma, and how?
That's a very good question, and I'm very excited to devote my life to that. In my opinion, without a doubt, art or creativity has the capacity to raise consciousness, either in the act of creating the piece itself. So if it's the monk creating the mandala himself, they themselves are entering a meditative state, what people call the flow, right? So you creating something allows you to release that trauma. You can choose to do it subconsciously, it automatically happens, or consciously, where you say, I'm entering this space to allow emotions to come up, to allow thoughts and traumas which are deep inside me to come up, and release them through the act of actually creating that piece. The other aspect of that is once the piece is created, it acts as a reminder of the state you were in when you created that. But also, if we speak specifically of mandalas, it's a structure of the universe. The universe organizes itself into geometrical patterns, and this is not woo-woo talk. We know about this in modern science today. If we look at fractals, we look at pluralism in the way that a mushroom spore, the way it spreads, is very similar to a tram station or the networks in your social family. There are certain structures you see over and over in the universe. If you draw those structures, you are reminding yourself of these structures that the universe composes itself of, and you are allowing your mind to again reflect on those structures. And that really creates this subconscious ability to connect to the universe, connect to the moment, and really allow these childhood traumas, even from past lives, to come up and to really heal you. And we know when we focus on something for a specific period of time, whether it is to raise consciousness or acquire more money or be more successful, if you have that one-sided tunnel vision, you tend to achieve it after a certain amount of time.
I'm thinking about the effort involved in the creation of the mandala, which generally the smallest mandala take 20 monks working in shift continuously for 2 weeks. At the end is whipped out and the sand poured on the water, and the meaning of ephemeral existence of life. I'm thinking how we idolize artworks, transform into a luxury object, missing this metaphysical level of the artwork itself. How do you think can we deepen the understanding of behind the physical appearance?
One way is how we've already done very successfully at Mara Pavilion, which is to host these cacao ceremonies, gong baths, where you have the artwork itself and people will see it. They come into the room and they're already bringing their thoughts, their troubles from the week, their beliefs from the years, and they're looking at it through those eyes.
Yeah.
when you do the cacao ceremony or gong bath, or like we had the guided meditation which I hosted, the idea was to allow people to become more present and then look at the piece with a different perspective. And that already deepens the connection. You know, that already allows you to feel there is something more than this. There is a certain process that went into making this piece, and you gain a intimacy with the artist in a way, and also with the artwork. Each artwork has such stories to tell. It's so interesting when you walk into a show and people spend 10 seconds on a piece and move to the next one. That's not enough time. We both know this. But it's our tendency to absorb information at a fast rate. So if you slow people down and you give them the opportunity to take their time, meditations, anything that brings mindfulness, and then you allow them to see the work, you will definitely be sinking deeper.
Definitely, can be a practice we already experienced in the last exhibition, the other side of 001, which take in consideration the healing power of artistic practices. And it was very exciting to see the people coming inside and expecting like, okay, it's a gallery, it's an exhibition, take a look at some painting and sculpture and then go home. And then they found themselves like lied down on the yoga mat, doing breath work and doing some cacao ceremony, and people were like, what is this? Like,
and that's the idea, is you just create this space where being mindful is allowed, and doing it in a public setting. So the idea is to slowly change the way we see these practices so that it becomes more normal to do it in a public setting. It becomes normal to go into an art gallery, sit down, meditate by yourself, and then get up and then look at the work. And if you start creating this acceptance through the way we're doing it, but then also allowing other people to do it by creating these spaces, then the possibilities are limitless. Because those people will pass it to their friends and so on and so forth. And it just becomes this chain. And by doing that, you're allowing Berlin to be more mindful, you're allowing Germany to be more mindful, Europe. And we both know that this is perhaps the best way to not just cope, but thrive in today's day and age.
Yeah, in a time where artists mainly focus on the individualistic role of the artistic practice, I feel that your work has this capacity to create community and create discussion.
The idea is, what can the artwork do so that when you walk into that space and you see that artwork in front of you, suddenly feel lifted from the troubles that you've had for the day, or maybe you're reminded of something from your childhood. I'm so grateful that there is a big part of the art community that's doing this consciously to help people become more mindful, more joyful. And it's not just egoistic, look at me and all of me and me being a celebrity. I think to allow art to become a vessel where you're sharing your story so people can be inspired and they can see that message about how we can be more mindful, I think that's much more purposeful.
2020 and 2021 were the year of the most number of suicide and mental illness. We see all around the world this increase of drug addiction, and we see also the medical system is not able to cope, thinking about hospitalization, the use of drugs to cure people that have depression, which is an archaic way to deal with one's psychological problem. How the practice of art can suggest new way to approach more holistic the human being.
The biggest issue that we face now with mental health is that we immediately diagnose things as an illness. We say depression is an illness, we say PTSD is an illness, we diagnose these things and we put them in boxes. What ends up happening with that is people, first of all, enter this victim mindset. They say, I am a depressed person, or I am PTSD, I am depression, so on and so forth. What happens with that is you become drawn to what people are saying you need to do if you are depressed, which is to take a lot of pills, to have to go and basically put a lot of chemicals in your body, which in many ways are not dealing with the solution, they're just numbing your brain down, so you don't actually feel that as much, or you don't feel much, period. If we look at the other side now, the idea is that basically you end up creating on a quantum level these pathways in your brain which store your beliefs, your memories, your patterns. The solution to that is to go into your brain, into your mind, and to be able to, on a quantum level, it physically exists, is to allow that to release, allow that to break back down, to remove that. And it's not you, it's just something that's inside of you that can be removed and released. And there's a lot of methods and things in the spiritual world which people have spoken about. That's what it is. And that's also why, as you mentioned, they erase the mandala once it's created, because again, it's about removing that physical attachment. It's not about physical attachment to just something that's beautiful. It's a reminder that stop being so physically attached, or stop being so attached to your body, or to your thoughts, or to your mind. You're not your body. Just this simple act of sweeping that mandala away is a reminder that this physical world is just for us to have fun with, to play with, for us to realize our purpose with, but we are not that. We're bigger than that. To me, this tradition is so beautiful. And if you look at traditions around the world, they have these beautiful reminders which are coming from ancestors much wiser than us, who were able to tap into this and wanted to share this. And if we're only willing to listen, the answers are already there.
I think we are shifting this paradigm. We are entering this holistic understanding of what we are. We are not our emotion, our body, our mind. If you go even deep, we are not our beliefs. But definitely there is a lot of work to do. And with the last festival in which we experienced this new format, taking consideration 3 forms of art, performance, music, and visual art. How did you feel this format fitting to your art practice?
What I think we have created with Meyer Pavilion, thanks to you as the person who spearheaded this, is a space where people are interacting in a space because they feel comfortable, they feel at ease, they're talking about the work openly, there is music, there is food. All of these things create a homey vibe where you feel like this is a space where I can be myself. What's so beautiful about Meyer Pavilion is you literally gave your living room for people to exhibit their work, but in many ways that hasn't changed even as we've gone to bigger and bigger venues. That vibe of being in a living room, of being in someone's home is still there. It's got this energy of we don't have to put a suit on, we don't have to speak in hushed voices, we don't have to talk about catalogs and booklets. Art is meant to be colorful and expressive and talked about. And by doing these things where you have a gong bath, you have the cacao ceremony, you have people talking about their work, sharing their work, performing, painting on the walls, rock concerts, punk concerts. Because of that, people say, hey, you know what? This piece with the punk song going in the background is so different from when there is a guided meditation going on. And suddenly you're open to all these new ways of seeing the same work. That's really the future, because there is no one single answer. There's no right answer, so to say. You can look at it how you want, you take from it what you want, you leave behind what you don't want. I think Meyer Pavilion and the way we've run it as a festival is really the way I encourage other people to do it as well, because it creates this community of people that want to keep working together. Because of COVID, we're now moving to an age where people see that being digital all the time, just staring at your phone is not the way. We need that human connection. And on a deep level, we realize that. By organizing these community things, we feel that, and you've already seen how quickly our circle has grown. From, I think we had 10 artists at the first one, 20, 30, 40, now we're, for the next one, maybe 100, 400, who knows? Yeah. So it's no longer about this one celebrity artist who takes up the whole space. It's let's do something together, let's create, let's do something for the betterment of society as a whole, And I love that.
And the most important also that artists are not doing one exhibition or one festival and they are gone. The project is meant to support them a long time span. I am more interested in this long time relation than one night stand.
And that's the thing, and we say that openly, that's the one thing I really loved about when you started this. People are not excluded. Sure. We're not excluding people. We're not saying your work is not good enough, your voice doesn't deserve to be heard. We're saying everyone is invited. If we can't find a space for your work, for sure it'll be there at the next one, or we will get a bigger space. But this idea of involving everyone, of coming together, no matter where you come from, how young you are, how much experience you have, it's really beautiful, man. I have to say, it's really amazing. And I think that for me is the reason why you've done what you've done so far. You know, because people believe in that, this idea of helping each other out.
We are the people we have been waiting for. There's something written there.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So we are open this gate. We are the future, I think. Honestly, I've been open since the start of the pandemic, till more and more every day. I'm opening myself, opening space, opening community and groups. And I don't expect that the politic will open. I am already open. I don't expect politics to resolve this problem. I don't expect medicine and science to resolve the problem. I think this is the message that we are giving to the people with this project. No waiting, no postponing, just doing. Without,
absolutely,
I think, limitation, without thinking of focusing too much to the limitation. Because those are always there. If there's no pandemic, there's also money or whatever. There's the war. You know, there's always limitation and obstacle on the way.
And the solution is mindfulness. At the end of the day, all of these things come from unconsciousness. Whether it's war or whether it's COVID or whether it's the way we've dealt with COVID, all of this comes from a place where we are not connecting to who we really are. But the moment we start doing that or allow people to start doing that, that's the moment where we create this shift on a global scale. And I know deep inside my heart that in 30 years, when you and I are grandpas and walking around in old canes, we will look back and say, wow, what a beautiful world all of us together have created. And it's because we chose to do this. You know, the brain is the beginning, the mind is the beginning. Climate change, all these big issues, world hunger, the moment we start with mindfulness, improving our mental health, improving the way we treat our mind, everything is going to shift.
It was a blast.
It's a pleasure.
Like always.
Real pleasure, man. Real
Meeting
pleasure.
you is always so inspiring.
Thank you. Thank you. Likewise. Likewise.